She cheated on Valentine's. My interesting first relationship story. 25M 22F, looking for advice on how to move on. Hello, everyone. I would like to share my experience regarding a 4-month relationship that turned negative, and I am seeking advice on how to move forward. I am a 25-year-old male with a fair amount of experience, other than dating, as you will see, and I was dating a 22-year-old female. Overall, our relationship was fairly good. We hardly argued. When problems arose, we addressed them promptly, mostly me encouraging discussions to resolve the situation. Even during disagreements, things never escalated to yelling or ignoring each other. She worked as a waitress and didn't engage in much else: no gym, no school, etc., while I am self-employed, ambitious, go to the gym, and work long hours. Her interests included reading fantasy and erotic novels, which often felt like pornographic scenarios, something I didn't find healthy, and she ceased this activity entirely when we were dating, although I never requested it. I sometimes attempted to assist her in pursuing her passions, but I realized she wasn't as motivated as I had been at her age. She was the kind of person who lived entirely in the present and didn't plan for the future. She would spend her paycheck as she pleased. I later learned she frequently lied not just to me, but also to her family. For instance, her parents are separated, and she even informed her mother that she was still attending school, which had not been the case for 2 years. I recall once when she invited me over while her father was away, and later, when he inquired about the 2 food plates, she concocted an excuse. There are many more examples, but you understand the point. Despite noticing these signs, in our 17,000 texts exchanged over the 4 months, it consistently appeared that she genuinely cared about me. Yes, I reviewed them like a fool. She would message me that she missed me, inquire about my well-being, and we would have phone calls every single morning and night. When we spent time together, we enjoyed meaningful moments, held hands, kissed, and had incredible intimacy. She even surprised me with an expensive helmet, valued at $800, simply for being kind to her, perhaps a guilt gift. I often shared my future aspirations with her, but I had concerns about her being irresponsible or careless. She didn't possess a car or a bike license. Every time we met, I bore the responsibility of picking her up. I mentioned that while I was happy to do so in the summer, it would become challenging in the winter when my long-awaited business venture, a motorcycle garage, launched, which isn't accessible by bus, and I intended to relocate nearby. I explained that although she might not need it at the moment, acquiring a license takes 11 months where we live, so she ought to begin now to be prepared for upcoming opportunities, work, life, etc. She agreed and even started working toward her license. Throughout the relationship, I realized that despite her seemingly wonderful traits, she had a significant tendency to lie to her loved ones and to me. Still, she was candid about her feelings. For example, one time when I said I would call and forgot, she expressed that it hurt her feelings. I immediately apologized and promised it wouldn't happen again. For most of the 4 months, we met twice weekly. We enjoyed various dates, took walks, held hands, kissed, etc. I helped her pass her motorcycle test, which she had failed multiple times and likely wouldn't have attempted again without my support. When she found a bike she liked, I offered to assist her in negotiating a fair deal. I even drafted a contract to send to the seller along with a deposit. However, when I sent her the contract, she modified it because it made her uneasy, even though I ensured it protected her, and she thought it might upset the seller but lied to me about sending the unaltered version. When I eventually discovered the changes, I was furious. I told her that I couldn't be in a relationship with someone who lied. I could manage nearly anything else, but dishonesty was a deal-breaker for me. She appeared remorseful and frightened that I might end our relationship. I understood that even if she was regretful, I needed to remain vigilant and not let love cloud my judgment. I attempted to navigate our issues in a way that kept things light-hearted, and we continued to date. There were ups and downs. Some days I felt exhausted, and on others, she needed space, for example, during her period. When she found a jacket she wanted for her riding school, I made a romantic gesture by driving 2-3 hours to purchase it. I truly put forth my best effort in every aspect of the relationship. From the very beginning, I had her location on my phone for her safety, she offered. I didn't ask. I rarely checked it, only ensuring it was active. When she mentioned driving lessons, I would tease her playfully, and she would send a picture of her instructor on the Zoom call. Wait for it. Then, 1 week before Valentine's Day, we had been communicating every day through calls and texts. I told her I had a surprise for Valentine's Day. I missed her and couldn't wait to see her. She mirrored my enthusiasm. She visited me on Monday, and I presented a box of gifts for her. One ring that she adored broke, so I bought her a nicer one under 100, and every day that week, I received photos and her appreciation for it. The other gift was a newly released book, Fourth Wing, which was sold out everywhere, a romantic gesture as I found the last copy. On Wednesday, I wanted to spend time with her, but she stated she needed to see her mother. I responded, "Okay, I'll see you on Thursday," and we arranged to meet that Thursday night when her father would be out of town. However, at the last minute, she was called into work. On Friday, she was scheduled for a night shift. I had a haircut and several errands to run in the morning, while she had a massage and nail appointment. She proposed we meet just before her shift. Then, at the last moment, she sent a curt message stating she had been called in early. I thought, "Okay, that's unusual, but no worries, I will see you after work, even if it's at 2 a.m. She did not respond until later, and her next message was another blunt, "Yo." She had never done that before, and she knew I preferred respectful communication, followed by a note stating she would be finished very late. I replied that it was fine and that I would be there for her. Then, she ignored me. I messaged her again later when she said she would be done. "I'm going to leave soon, let me know when to come." She immediately sent a terse message back saying, "No need." I texted her to ask what that meant. It was Valentine's Day, and I was en route to see my girlfriend and bring her flowers. Still, she disregarded my texts. Later, she messaged, "We left." At this juncture, I began to suspect something was wrong. That morning during our FaceTime call, she had told me she missed me and was eager to see me, even using endearing phrases like "bizu bizu," akin to "kiss kiss." Now, she seemed to be communicating with a stranger, me. I drove to her house, anticipating her presence. I saw the lights on, but no one was home. I waited outside for a while, calling and messaging her. Shortly after, I observed a car dropping someone off at 2:30 a.m., and I thought it might be her. I even saw the lights turn off. I called and texted again, and eventually saw that my messages were being read on her phone, yet she continued to ignore me. It turned out her father had returned early from his trip. That night, I went home, hardly sleeping or eating, utterly bewildered and upset. The next day, I contacted my friends and expressed my suspicion about whether a guy had dropped someone off at her house. We monitored the car for hours, but that theory was dismissed. Then, I decided to check if she was at work. I went to the mall and peered through the glass. I spotted her at the bar, conversing with a friend. I called her, but she ignored me. I approached her, and her co-workers urgently warned her about my presence. When she finally emerged, she looked stunned, expressionless, and red as a tomato. I asked her a couple of times what was happening, but she refused to explain until, after a few repetitions, she stated, "I need space." I told her that for the past 4 months, she had been texting and calling me incessantly, so if she needed space, she should have simply communicated it to me, as she had done before, but it's Valentine's Day. I could sense that she was systematically ghosting me on Valentine's Day. I gently urged her to be truthful and asked why she hadn't replied to me. She claimed she was talking to her friend what? And she finally stated in a calm, emotionless voice, "Nothing is happening." I continued to press her on why she hadn't answered my call, and she reiterated that nothing is happening. Eventually, she claimed she had to go to work, turned her back to me, and returned inside. I walked away, and within 2 minutes, I received a generic text from her stating that she was not ready for a relationship, that she shouldn't have entered into one, and so on. Nothing specific about her actions, not even an apology. I could have sworn a chatbot wrote it. She did mention it wasn't acceptable that I hadn't heard from her in the morning, but she failed to reference her complete ghosting of me on Valentine's Day. I did some digging, using my tech skills, and discovered that she and another guy were following each other on Instagram. I texted the guy with a story pretending to be her cousin, mentioning that I was aware she had gone out with him and that I was just concerned since her father was out of town and I was responsible for watching over her. I called him and we conversed. Initially, he was honest and confirmed they had gone out with coworkers after the restaurant closed. Towards the end of the conversation, however, he attempted to cover it up. He caught on. Once we finished the call, he admitted that she had spent the night at his place and that he was unaware she had a boyfriend. I was heartbroken. I couldn't fathom that she had the audacity to do this to me. Regardless of the implications for him or not, I respect the guy for being upfront about everything. After all that, from the warm morning FaceTime calls to her ghosting me, cheating, and then blocking me from her life, the realization hit hard. I sent her a message stating that if she wished to talk, we could meet that evening after her work. If not, I was done. She responded that she owed me a conversation, but not that night, essentially conveying that she would prefer I leave rather than talk. I told her that I was aware of what she had done, that I knew she had lied to my face, and that I realized she had cheated. She ignored me, and I blocked her on my phone, attempting to handle the surge of emotions by spending time with a friend. I struggled with numerous questions racing through my mind about every detail of those 4 months, and contemplated what could have driven this seemingly innocent girl to betray me. I couldn't stop asking myself how I could have been such a terrible person to deserve this. Eventually, while sitting at my desk, I noticed my iPad and recalled that she wasn't blocked there. I sent her one final message requesting an explanation for her actions and how I deserved it. I should have just let it go. And I indicated that someone had provided me with the contact information for her boss and suggested that I report her for theft, something she had done. I stated that I was better than her and would never betray someone's trust as she did, even though I genuinely wanted to. By the way, no one provided me with those contacts. I uncovered them in just 3 minutes because my line of work necessitates discovering hidden or manipulated information. I never anticipated that the one person who uncovers everything would be deceived by a 22-year-old waitress. After sending that text, she promptly replied with 2 lines. "I'm so sorry for what I did," followed by the way, who gave you their contacts?" It seemed utterly unbelievable that this was all she cared about, who would undermine her behind her back at work like that. I told her that I would not betray someone's trust as she did, and asked her why she had acted as she did. She repeatedly provided me with the same generic response. We exchanged back and forth messages, essentially getting nowhere until I mentioned that I knew she cheated, that I knew she deceived me, and that I discovered she had reactivated her dating profile on the same day I first engaged with her. I told her I couldn't imagine how deeply I must have hurt her to warrant all this. She simply replied, "I just couldn't stop thinking about what I did." Her reason for blocking and redownloading the dating app. Eventually, she claimed she deleted her Instagram and dating profile and stated she needed time to heal. However, based on my observations, this lasted less than 24 hours. Yes, I can track that she returned to the app, still follows the guy, and added a few more contacts. Now, I find myself in a position where I know she is a bad person, and I want to move on, yet all my memories are tied to this person I loved. Even though she never truly existed, it was merely a figment of my imagination. I blocked her, deleted everything, and am currently trying to move on. I wake up at night with a racing heart, unable to quiet my thoughts throughout the day. As much as I sometimes feel the urge to wreak havoc on her life and see her struggle to pay rent, I refuse to do so. It's astonishing that she was capable of such behavior and that I missed every single sign. I want to add that I am also far from perfect, but I can tell you that I treated her well. I was undoubtedly busy, and she may have desired more attention, but given the way I treated her, I couldn't identify a path that justified this behavior. Being the type of person I am, I like to analyze every facet of my actions to improve for future encounters, but I just cannot decipher this situation. Anyway, I'm not entirely sure why I wrote this. Hopefully, some readers can learn from my mistakes. Trust everyone, but trust no one. Do it playfully. But do stay vigilant regarding certain matters. It will save you time and emotional strain in the long run, and perhaps even your relationship. If you have any advice or methods for moving on, I welcome it. I have a date with a lovely girl this upcoming weekend. I am uncertain if I am ready, but it was somewhat arranged for me, an odd story. And I will try to embark on this new journey with an open mind, determined not to let this dreadful experience tarnish every future interaction. Thank you for taking the time to read this. TLDR. A 4-month relationship soured when she ghosted me on Valentine's Day, cheated, and deceived me about everything, leaving me heartbroken and questioning my own naivety. Story 2. Ada for bursting into tears after my sister-in-law told me she's pregnant. I am using a throwaway account because I am unsure if my brother uses Reddit, and I do not want to risk him discovering this. I will attempt to keep this concise. However, I feel that I need to provide some personal background for context. Background: I, a 22-year-old female, have always aspired to be a parent. This dream has been a part of me for as long as I can remember. As a child, I was captivated by babies and wanted to learn how to care for them. When I was 6 years old, my parents had my younger sister, and I was ecstatic. I helped look after her, although my parents never asked me to, and I even did things I found unpleasant, such as changing diapers and cleaning up spilled food, believing it would help me develop skills for when I eventually have children. While out in public, I would see other parents with young children and babies, feeling a mix of jealousy and resentment. At times, I would cry myself to sleep because I did not have a baby. Sometimes I still do. Nevertheless, I have always approached this desire practically and sensibly. I will not have children until I am certain that I am in the best possible mental, physical, and financial condition. I have never attempted to become pregnant, I have never been pregnant, and I have never experienced any pregnancy scares. Yet, whenever my period is a day or two late, I find myself hopeful, wishing against all odds that I might be pregnant. When my period arrives, I feel disappointed and sometimes cry. Currently, I have qualifications in childcare, experience working in nurseries, and a degree in childhood and youth studies. Over the past several years, I have gradually started acquiring baby items, including teething toys, a small teddy bear, an adorable baby outfit, and I even crocheted a baby blanket. I have written lullabies. I have sought therapy and counseling to work through the mental obstacles that might prevent me from being the best parent I can be. I am focusing on my physical health, exercising more, and trying to ensure I will have the stamina to play with my future children for hours on end. I have been struggling with burnout, even while working only part-time, but I hope to find a full-time position soon so that I can move out of my parents' house and take a step closer to the next chapter of my life. In summary, I am, and have always been, desperate for children. It feels like my life's purpose. Whenever I dwell on it, I become deeply saddened by my lack of children. It feels fundamentally wrong that I do not have any. This feeling has persisted throughout my life. Still, I am determined not to rush into this and to take the necessary steps to prepare myself to be the best parent I can be. Additionally, I'm not sure if this is relevant, but I am autistic, and childcare parenting is perhaps the closest thing I have to a special interest. This might explain why my feelings are so intense. I'm not certain. Present day: a few weeks ago, while visiting my brother Tony, 25, and his wife Anne, 26, at their home, Anne casually mentioned that she was pregnant. I was looking away and did not respond initially, but my heart sank. I felt tears welling up and I tried to hold them back. Anne asked if I had heard her news, and all I could manage to say was a weak, "Yeah," before I began to cry uncontrollably. In that moment, I was overwhelmed and could not even comprehend my emotions. It was just too much. Anne was sympathetic, aware of how much I long for children, and she attempted to comfort me, but this only made me feel worse because I felt like the villain. I had received news that should be wonderful and had responded negatively, and now I was being consoled by the person who should genuinely be upset by my reaction. I stepped out of the room for a moment and spoke to my other brother's partner, who was also present, trying to articulate my feelings. We had a good conversation, and they tried to reassure me, but for the remainder of my visit, I struggled to look at Tony or Anne. Frustrated and unaware of why I had reacted so emotionally, Tony confronted me in front of everyone, asking why I was acting this way, which caused me to cry again. It was just a dreadful situation overall, and everyone was upset, leaving me feeling responsible. I suppose I was. If I had not been there, their day would likely have gone much smoother. I tried to compose myself and eventually said I was happy for them, managing some weak smiles, but it wasn't enough. To complicate matters, Anne, well-meaning but oblivious, reassured me that I would probably feel better in a few days, and proceeded to elaborate on how much she would rely on me when the baby arrives, how I would be a wonderful aunt, and how I would be needed for support. Now, weeks have passed, and I have been avoiding them as much as I can. I feel as though I am in immense emotional pain, and I struggle to articulate my feelings. The sorrow is so intense that it almost manifests as a physical ache. I feel like I want nothing to do with either of them now. It seems as though I want them gone from my life forever. Their pregnancy is a source of distress for me, and I wish they would disappear. I feel terrible because I know I should be happy for them. I want to be. I genuinely do, but I cannot. I resent that they are becoming parents before I am. I am frustrated by how unprepared they appear compared to me. Just last year, Tony expressed that he did not particularly desire children, and now he is having one. I have wanted children my entire life, yet I still do not have any because I refuse to rush into parenthood before I am fully ready. That would not be fair to the child. Anne's mental health is not great. They are currently renovating their house, which is straining their finances. They have been together for less than 2 years and married for under 6 months. I do not want to be their free babysitter, yet it feels as though they are expecting or even relying on me to take on that role. Despite my strong interest in children, it primarily revolves around my future offspring, whom I will eventually have. I do not want to be deeply involved in their child's life. I am tempted to secure a full-time job and move out as soon as possible to create distance, making it impossible for them to depend on me for babysitting and support. However, that feels petty and cruel, given that they seem to believe I will willingly help them constantly. Yet they never inquired if I was organizing my life around staying home with plenty of free time to assist them. In any case, I have discussed this with a friend at length, and they firmly believe that I am entitled to my feelings and do not owe anything to my brother or his wife. I have not acted with intention to hurt them, so how could I possibly be in the wrong? Still, I cannot help but feel that my actions, my reaction, and my avoidance must cause them great pain. How can I not be the villain in this situation? So, am I the asshole?